go. Here we go. Let's go, Jared. We got Jared in the house today. We're supporting him on his Olympic run in the judos. The judos, people. All right, day 23. How's everybody doing today? Everybody doing good? I sure hope so. You checked your levels today. You always got to do that. You got to check in with yourself. You got to check your levels. You got to say, how am I doing today? Am I doing good? Is the fire stoked? Am I excited or am I dragging a little bit? If you're dragging a little bit, you got to stoke that fire. Take a minute. Go get that fire stoked. Go consume something that gets you excited. I saw Ben got some kind of crazy ass sketchbook that he bought the other day all the way from Japan. I tell you, they got me a little excited. It sure did. You got that critical eye locked up because that guy will ruin your party in a heartbeat. Nothing faster to ruin your party than that critical eye. So keep him locked in the basement, okay? Then how's your schedule doing? You still hitting what you're wanting to hit? You hitting that 30 minutes a day? Are you moving closer to your goals? If not, let's renegotiate. Let's figure that bad boy back out and recalibrate that guy so that you reach your goals. Because that's what this is all about. That's how you change your life. That's what we're doing here. We're changing our lives through creativity. That's exciting. Let's be excited about that. All right, so I was thinking about this. You know, we're coming up on day 23, and I'm like, hey, what are we going to do next? We got to do something next, people. We can't just let this momentum die. You know what I'm saying? We got to be excited about it. So I was thinking, how about if we do 30 days of getting your paper wet? Get your paper wet for 30 days. Now, we're talking about watercolor. That's what we're talking about. 30 days of watercolor. You might be thinking, Ray, I don't know nothing about no watercolor. Well, that's okay, because that's what you're going to learn about here. It's going to be a fun, just informal watercolor, just like we done the sketchbooks. We're going to go ahead and put like 30 minutes a day into our watercolor, get that page wet, and learn some things, and then by the end of the 30 days, you'll look back and say, you know what, Ray? It wasn't that bad. I'm like a watercolor man right now. I love to get wet. I mean, who doesn't love to get wet? You know what I'm saying? So that's what we're going to do. Now, what are you going to need to do the watercolor? Well, you know, you could get a sketchbook like this, watercolor sketchbook. You can get a watercolor sketchbook like this, you know. You could get a little block of watercolor paper like this. I think these are like $5 or $6 even. You could get one of these sketchbooks, mixed media sketchbook. You know, I think they're about like $5 a piece or something like that. Get 3 for $15 or something like that. Or you could go ahead and get yourself a big old block of this watercolor paper. You know, do little things, all whatever. Because Arches is the best. You know what I mean? Or you could get yourself a great big block of watercolor paper. You know what I mean? And just go to town. You know what kind of towns and cities you can make on this watercolor paper? All kinds of stuff. So that's what we're going to do. You know? Then we're going to talk a little bit about like character design with color. You get excited about that? This was my reimagining of Nausicaa, Studio Ghibli. She's flying right there on her little flying wing, whatever the hell that was. Then we'll do some landscapes, some small landscapes like that. You know, get all excited about it. You know what I mean? Get all excited. It's about creating that excitement, that magic, that illusion. You know what I'm saying, people? You know, we'll do maybe do some waves. A surfer, do some waves. Then I got my black and white version down there at the bottom. You see that right there? Very exciting, very exciting. You know, all this kind of stuff just gets you really pumped up. Then, you know, we'll do some characters, some doodle characters. That's me right there, if you couldn't tell. And have fun with it. You know, try to create all kinds of different effects and craziness and all that good stuff. And then we'll even work in a little story action, you know. Well, we'll talk about a story that you might have. And then we'll work in some story design. Doesn't that sound like fun? Now, I just love color because color adds a whole nother layer of information to communicate with people. You know, a whole nother layer. We'll talk about composition. We'll talk about all that good stuff. you know, how to really grab the reader's attention and make it worthwhile for the reader. Because, you know, in every comic book or in every story or in anything, you got to have at least 1 or 2 pages in that whole entire book that just jump out and grab you. You know what I mean? You got to have those 1 or 2 pages at least where you just go, wow, that's something right there. Because if you don't have that, it won't be memorable. And really, that's what all of our goal is with every image we create. But of course, you know, in a story or in a narrative, we have to have ebb and flow. We have to have some images that are more abstract, more general, easier to see, and then other ones that are more complex and more visually stimulating, so you have to really just stop and take it all in. And that's the balance that we're going to talk about. You know, that'll be exciting. We'll go ahead and make that happen. You know, we'll even do little character sheets. A little surfer girl. You know, she's getting her surf on, having a good time out there on the beach. Okay, so that's what we'll do. We'll do 30 days of getting your paper wet. So get yourself some paper. Don't worry, I'll put all the links in the down below. I'll put links for the types of paper, where to get them. You ain't even need to get like no complex watercolor set. Just get a basic one. You know what I'm saying? Don't be popping off to get all expensive until you know if you like it or not. You know, get the cheap brushes until you know if you like it or not. Then get a couple of good ones if you want to do the splatter. But I tell you what, it's more in here than it is the tools. Okay, a master can make a masterpiece with a grain of rice and some soy sauce, whereas an amateur could have the best tools in the world and he still makes a pile of shit. Okay, so we don't want to make no piles of shit. Well, we do on our sketchbook, and then we want to go out and make fantastic artworks that connect with people. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to make it fun and intuitive. Okay, we're going to make it fun and intuitive. That's what the focus is going to be on. Not all these formulas and all this kind of stuff. We're going to tap into our own intuition. We're going to look at something and we're going to say, you know what that needs? That needs more red. You know what that needs? That needs more cyan or more turquoise or more lemon yellow to go with that maroon. That's what we're going to do. And we're going to talk about how to do that. We're going to talk about that 75-25 rule when it comes to proportion. Okay? In everything. In design, in color, in complexity, in texture. We're going to talk about all that kind of stuff. And then we're going to talk about some fun effects we can do with the watercolor. You know, like the rock salt and all that good stuff, which is a lot of fun too. I love all that kind of stuff. Okay? So, we're going to make that happen. So, if you want to be on board, go ahead and start thinking about that and start planning on getting your little tools together so that you can come with us. And if you don't want to do watercolor, but you still want to come with us, hell, you could do it in your sketchbook. Just sketchbook along with us. We take all comers here. We really do. We take everybody. Everybody's welcome, except for people who want to raise a stink because we don't want no stinky people around. You know. All right. The other thing is I wanted to say is I'm working on setting up a Discord so that people can go on the Discord and they can find all the materials and the lists of stuff, and they can, you know, talk to other people who want to get better at art. I never really intended for this to be some huge art class, but I do like the idea of a community of people who can come together and support each other as we go along on our journey to try to become good at artwork. You know what I'm saying, people? Because we all trying out here. We all trying to put one foot in front of the other. Okay? Now, the other thing that I was going to mention, too, is I got a couple interviews coming up. So be on the lookout for those. I'm going to drop those. You'll probably like them. You'll probably get excited. Okay? Now, I know that's a lot of talk and a lot of notes, and what do they call that? A lot of, I forget what they call it, but we talked a lot about a lot of stuff right there. So, all right, today, what are we going to do for our sketchbook? Okay, well, today, what I want to do is I want to get wild and crazy, okay? Now, you're like, okay, I thought that's what Sunday Fun Day was for. Well, that is, but I want to get bombastic. What do you mean by bombastic? Well, I want you to draw something that's going to be very loud on the page. Try to make it as loud as possible visually, okay? Here's an example of something that I drew that was very loud on the page, okay? This is our boy Mersh, and he's got his cat back there, but he's doing something very loud. He's like in the form of the Joker, and he's stepping on one of those chocolate chip Costco guys, you know, like boom, 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 double chocolate chunk, and he's shoving the cookie in his mouth, and he's saying, you know, boom again, or say boom again, cookie boy. So that's what I want you to do. Come up with an idea and make it as loud as possible. Now, it's important that you can go as loud as you possibly can, because sometimes you have to do that, and sometimes you have to be quiet visually. You have to be both. So try your best to be as loud as possible today. Put it down on your sketchbook and just be fucking loud, okay? Be bombastic. Look that word up if you don't know what it means. And have a blast doing it, okay? So that when you look back at the end of this 30 days, you're gonna say, wow, that was a good day. That was a lot of fun. Now, on the end of our 30 days, we are gonna have a little bit of a party. So be ready for that too, okay? Now, everybody, get out there. Have a good day.